All right, welcome back to First Team Fantasy. In this episode, we will be covering the Raiders going to Chicago to take on the Bears in what ended up being a very ugly game for the Raiders. The Bears won it 30-12. On the Raiders side of the ball, I mean, what can you say? It was horrendous. It was obviously the wrong decision for them to start Brian Hoyer. Obviously, no one fantasy-wise was thinking about starting him. I'm really quickly, he had 129 yards, 2 interceptions, 78% of snaps, 3 fantasy points. Aiden O'Connell came in to finish the game, threw a touchdown, threw a pick, got you 6 fantasy points. Obviously, no one was starting either of them. On the ground, it was an ugly day for Josh Jacobs. He finished 11 carries, 35 yards, 1 catch for 6 yards on 4 targets, 5.1 fantasy points. He played 66%
Yeah.
of snaps. It was just terrible. Uh, the receivers,
He should have he dropped or didn't drop, but if he could have dragged his toe, he would have had a touchdown.
yeah,
He I mean, just to throw that in there, the opportunity was there. He
but
just couldn't get his second foot down. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but
yeah. So it was a close one from being, he had a 5.1 fantasy day, what could have been, like a 12, 13 point fantasy day with the catch, the touchdown, the yards. But again, close, no cigar. Through the air, your 2 fantasy receivers, I mean, Devontae didn't completely burn you. He had 7 catches for 57 yards, 12 targets, 12.7 fantasy points. Something that kind of sucked to see was he caught the first 4 passes from Brian Hoyer. So he had 4 catches in, 30, 40 yards on the very first drive, and then finished the rest
yeah.
of the game with 3 more catches through the entirety of it. But the Raiders offense just,
He
I
also
mean,
drew touchdown right off of his fingertips.
yeah, it was one of those days. Jacoby Myers, on the other hand, was able to haul in a touchdown, finished 7 catches, 50 yards, 13 targets, 18 fantasy points. I mean, we're living in a world where, at least fantasy wise, like they are like a 1A, 1B fantasy room. Devontae's clearly
Yeah.
more talented, but Jacoby,
I don't even think when Jacoby got his touchdown, I don't think Devontae was even on the field at this point.
mm-hmm,
They had all of the backups in. I mean, no, for fantasy purposes, no touchdown is a garbage time touchdown, but
this
they're
one was a
down.
garbage
Yeah.
time touchdown, but also we've seen.
So yeah, I'm just it's not one that you could look back on and be like, oh, point to a difference because of it. It's like no, Devontae wasn't in, and the
Yeah,
game wasn't competitive at that point.
it is
But
worth noting when they
Jacoby
played the
is truly
Chargers
still.
and game was on the line, they drew up a play for Jacoby, which is crazy to say. They did draw up a
Well,
play for
no,
Jacoby.
I'm just saying. There's a difference entirely when one player is not even on the field, and then it's like, when
Yeah,
Jacoby's out there
yeah.
and Devontae's out there, there's as likely of a chance. It's not. This is just all going to Jacoby.
Oh,
It was
absolutely,
it was
absolutely.
more. The game started. Devontae got peppered with targets. They started double teaming him. They peppered Jacoby with targets. Later in the game, Devontae gets pulled. Jacoby gets the touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Devontae Adams or
No,
Jacoby Myers. Either one of them. No.
no, they're both must starts week to week. Someone I was hoping would get just use your enough to get peppered with more targets was Michael Mayer. I mean, he saw 4 in this game. He played 71% of snaps. His snap count has gone up as the season progresses. He only caught 2 of them for 13 yards, 3.3 fantasy points. And it's just one of those things, Jacoby and Devontae fantasy-wise got theirs. Really no one else did. It was just horrendous offensively for the Raiders. They couldn't get anything on the ground. The Bears' rush defense has been terrible all season, but then again, the Raiders' efficiency on the ground's been terrible. Made them have to pass a little more. Brian Hoyer could just not get it done. And I mean, that's kind of what you expect,
I
wasn't
mean,
it?
one of the interceptions wasn't entirely his fault.
Yeah.
It like bounced off Jacob's hands. The other one, the pick six, was entirely his fault.
Yeah. And
That one was bad.
wasn't it a stat? What was it? He's now 0-13 or something in games he started. I don't think Brian Hoyer has a win as a starter.
I mean, there's a reason. I just don't understand why quarterbacks like him are still like. For God's sakes, Carson Wentz is
Out there.
better than that. He
Aiden
is.
O'Connell's better than that. And it was just tough to see as a Raider fan. Um, but again, you're starting Josh
Yeah.
Jacobs every week. You're starting Devontae. You're starting Jacoby. When Jimmy comes back, there should be a bit better of quarterback play there. Obviously, you're not starting Jimmy, but that should help at least a little bit.
Yeah, if he could stay healthy.
Already missed 2 games out of 7 weeks. The Bears side of the ball, Tyson Bagent had a solid game, 21 of 29, 162 yards, a touchdown, 3 rushes, 24 yards, 12.8 fantasy points. Obviously not starting him, but at least for the guys. Okay. He got it to DJ Moore a decent amount. DJ Moore finished 8 catches, 54 yards, 9 targets, 13.4 without Justin Fields. If DJ Moore's getting you 13.4, I mean, like
You're
we
still
said,
starting
yeah, if he
DJ Moore.
gets you double digits with Tyson Bagent as his quarterback against a Raiders pass defense who has been somewhat better this season, that's a solid week for him. Darnell Mooney, 4 catches, 32 yards, 4 targets, 7.4 fantasy points. Again, not someone I'm not even rostering him, but I had to throw it in there. He had a decent week. Someone who really got forgotten in this game was Cole Kmet. I don't know what happened. He had 0 targets. He played 89% of snaps.
I want to add something to our previous episode that just popped up. The NFL is currently investigating the Falcons after Bijan's lack of playing time despite not being on injury report. So, all you fantasy owners out there, the NFL is doing this for you.
That's
Carry on.
that is crazy.
I was just like, wow, okay.
Yeah, but like I said, we saw Cole Kmet out there getting cardio. We saw Mercedes Lewis get a catch and not Cole Kmet. I didn't even know Mercedes Lewis. Why isn't he in a 2-story house somewhere in a gated community relaxing?
Yeah, he's 30. He's 39 years old. The thing I had to go back and rewatch this game because I saw I mean the last game we didn't see Cole Kmet have much involvement in this offense with Tyson Bagent once Justin Fields went out. But I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting an absolute dud. Nothing. Like
Yeah.
not a target. Like genuinely was confused. Is he that good at blocking? I don't know. It didn't look like it when I was rewatching the film. I was genuinely confused. They're throwing the ball to Tyler Scott more. Like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I mean, it's not something to play around with, especially if it's going to be Tyson Bagent instead of Justin Fields. He's doubtful for this coming week. So, to hell with it. I'm dropping Cole Kmet at this point.
Yeah. And, kind of the surprise hero of this game was Deontay Foreman. I mean, I liked the start because the Raiders' rush defense is so horrendous. We didn't know what to expect from the Bears' offense as a whole because of no Justin Fields, but Deontay Foreman got it done. 16 carries, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches for 31 yards on 5 targets, another touchdown, and that's something he's not been known to do is catch the ball out of the backfield. He did it efficiently in this game. He had 33 fantasy points. Craziest part, he played 46% of snaps and 33 fantasy points.
Rewatching that game, they had Darrington Evans quite a bit, and he looked
Mm-hmm.
decent running the ball, but just wasn't getting the same kind of carries that Foreman was getting. They were using Foreman around and at the goal line. I'm at the point where you see the Raiders against a running back
And you're
you're
starting them.
starting them.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
absolutely.
this is AJ Dillon, Deontay
Mm-hmm.
Foreman.
Mondre had a good
Hey,
week. It's just, and yeah, no, 100% you're starting him. And Darrington Evans, yeah, he played 48% of snaps, 14 carries, 48 yards, 3 targets through the air, caught one of them for 6 yards, 6.4 fantasy points. I'm at a point where when Roshan Johnson returns next week, I think Darrington Evans is going to be the one that gets bumped down. But I don't know how the Bears would just give Roshan the bulk and not have Deontay Foreman. He's
yeah,
been
it's
serviceable.
one of those things that's hard to navigate. It truly is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, just pulling something out of context, but if you go back to the Arizona backfield, how they had DeMarcado at the end of that game, Keontae Ingram comes back, he takes over for the next game. In the game following, it's all DeMarcado again.
Mm-hmm.
So we just don't know, and it's one of the. It's not like the Ravens backfield where we've had, we've seen years of this with Gus Edwards and Justice Hill. We know that Gus is going to get the bulk of the carries, the bulk of the targets out of the backfield are going to go to Justice Hill. We don't know with teams like this, with teams
Mm-hmm.
like the Rams. It's too hard to now. So we can't sit here and tell you that this is what we think is going to happen. We're not the coaches. We don't know the decision that they're going to make on game time. And half the time when the reporters ask them, they don't give a solid answer. So it's one of those things I can't give any solid advice as to when Roshan Johnson comes back, who I'm looking to start. Maybe just
It's
both of them.
it's going to be a toss-up. But again, Deontay Foreman, very solid week. He's at least pushing to, continue to be involved in that backfield. How involved? Again, like Schiff said, we're going to have to wait and see. But that's really all I had for this one. Did you have anything else to add?
No, that was about it. Start DJ Moore every week.
Yeah, absolutely start DJ Moore. And yeah, that's going to do it for this one. Any comments, questions, advice in regards to this game, feel free to drop it in the comments, and we will be back with the next episode.